Welcome back to Smart Architecture Channel. In this episode, we are visiting 4 unique architecture residential houses in Brazil, Mexico, and Australia. Please consider subscribing and turning on the notification bell to receive our periodic updates and be a part of the community if you haven't done so yet. Glad to have supporters. Today, we start with PLM House, designed by Luis Paulo Andrade Architects in Brazil. This house was created to be home for a couple in retirement. This site is in the countryside of Sao Paulo, Brazil, in a region of small mountains with a hot and humid climate. The slope of the terrain defined the program division into 3 levels. The division between interior and exterior spaces is disguised by glass panels that hide inside the walls, offering total integration, transforming the house into a large balcony. Upstairs are bedrooms for family and guests. The superior volume assumes the role in the composition, with elongated design being the only volume perceivable by the street. The house is an evolution of the traditional Brazilian house, with large terraces under large eaves that protect from the strong sun and the rains of the region. The horizontality of the forms refers to Brazilian modernism. Volumetry is formed by the full and empty facades. All the rooms become frames for the view. Concrete is the construction system at the same time is the main finishing material, and the wood appears to coat the internal volumes. The interior design is formed by a collection piece of Brazilian designers of the 20th century, with extensive use of wood and natural fabrics and rugs, resulting in a cozy and elegant ensemble. Our second house today is the Graffiti House, designed by Durac Architects. Graffiti House is the amalgamation of a brief which sought to convert an existing clothing warehouse into a home that was both a refuge punctuated with moments of intimacy, while also a series of spaces with a sense of drama and connection with the outdoors. The conversion of the building into a new 3-bedroom home was a deliberate attempt to prioritize spatial quality over floor space. The clients were a couple with no children and a modest brief looking to make the most of the large open spaces on a modest Sydney budget. The client had a love of utilitarian warehouse buildings and was adamant that the feel of the original space was not lost through the renovation. While the original structure had a singularly dramatic presence, it also was at risk of being spatially amorphous and without definition. To address this, the existing volumes were maximized and defined by a U-shaped mezzanine which contains the plan and is in part suspended from the existing steel roof structures. While creating a home with a real sense of connectedness, this introspective plan also encouraged intimate spaces wrapped around a protected and elevated courtyard. The third house is Calivas House by Difrenia Architects in Mexico. Exploited volumes create the distribution of spaces and the environment of Casa Calivas in a plot of 900 square meters. This volumetric handling creates 5 facades composed of elements of concrete, stone of the region, wood of Perota, and rings of steel beams that surround the work, joining the architectural volumes. The main idea was to create more intimate moments that were in balance with the great views of their surroundings. Calivas House is completely integrated into its environment that is located in a single condominium that respects more than 200 trees of Perota in the city of Colima. with a microclimate and a stream being completely enveloped by this vegetation, taking advantage of it in all the senses. Kalivas does not end with the physical limits of his property, but rather on the outer limit of the environment, most times green, and in some seasons of the year the inmate branches of the perotas that create a play of lights and changing shadows within all interior and exterior spaces, becoming huge lattices that give freshness to the house, besides being the emblematic tree of Colima. The geometry in volumes of very straight shapes that is generated between the architectural elements allows to give different views and generating unique environments with the help of the different interior gardens, leaving us open spaces, illuminated but at the same time very private. The warmth of the wood from the same tree of Perota has as its purpose an enormous presence on the most sober and cold materials, such as concrete, steel, and stone. The volumes for which Casa Kalivas is composed create channels of wind and freshness, abusing them by the orientation that was given to them and the location of the bays that allow the entrance of these. The main concept is to live abroad, having a unique space without the need for walls. And lastly, meet our Sea House, designed by Architects & Company. With a privileged view of the ponds and woods of Fazenda Boa Vista in Porto Feliz, Sao Paulo in Brazil, the Boa Vista RC House was designed to see the sun all day long in the leisure area. The facade reveals the wood panel, an element that allows aesthetics, allows ventilation and natural light in the environments while guaranteeing privacy to the interiors. With organic paging that takes advantage of the wood scraps cut during the manufacturing process, it is also an ecological panel since it reduces, with design, the waste of material. The L-shaped residence is distributed in 2 blocks. In one of them, the leisure and living areas are concentrated. In the more private one, 7 bedrooms and a home theater. In the connection between the 2 volumes, the entrance, kitchen, and service area can be easily accessed. In the middle of a contemplative garden, the open fireplace is an invitation to wait for the coldest nights with friends around. The triangular swimming pool was covered with Batu Hijau stones, in a tone that enhances the surrounding landscaping. Thanks for visiting our channel. Please consider subscribing and turning on the notification bell for future episodes if you haven't done so yet. Stay tuned.